What's good, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Xehther, and I'm bringing you the story of what if Team 7 was betrayed by Konohah. It might surprise you guys to know that a lot of things could actually change if we change the character development of one simple person from Team 7. Secrets that could catastrophically impact the story of Naruto being let out early could cause a ripple effect to the story that would change everything. So if you guys are curious to how this story ends, how everything pans out, and what even ends up happening, stick around to the end of today's video to finish watching part 1 of what if Team 7 was betrayed by Konohah. Enjoy.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
We start our story in the perspective of Iruka walking into the classroom to assign the 12 rookies where they're going to be going for their teams. And much to nobody's surprise, everything would pretty much remain constant, even the portion of Naruto being betrayed by Mizuki. The entire story of Naruto essentially remains constant, except for one character having a massive change added to their persona, their backstory, and their likability factor. That character is going to be Sakura. Now, before you click off this video, just keep in mind that this isn't going to be the same Sakura that we all know and hate. Trust me, I hate Sakura just as much as anybody else. But changing Sakura's character the way that I'm about to is going to monumentally change the way that you view this figure. So, allow me to continue. Anyways, we're going to pick our story in a different perspective, with Danzo essentially informing Sakura that she's going to be placed on the same team as the Uchiha brat and the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Now, how is this and why is this? Well, Danzo would simply explain that her mission is simply to keep a watch on the Nine-Tails and bring Sasuke back to him. Someone that he could potentially get a very powerful pawn off of, and he could potentially flip his little situation that he has with Itachi around. And not only that, but Sakura's backstory would be changed monumentally. Her original parents would essentially be killed off by Danzo and his men, and she would have essentially been taken into the route Anbu way earlier than any other kid. She would have begun to have training done every single day, and the reason that Danzo would do this would be to essentially have somebody that he could count on be inside of the academy to infiltrate it, and eventually one day get onto the same team as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, as well as the final survivor of the Uchiha. So her mission is simply that, to bring Sasuke in and to keep a close eye on Naruto, make sure that nothing happens. During her upbringing, she would essentially be beaten by Danzo and told that if she doesn't do things right, she's going to be getting the same treatment as everybody else. Now, obviously, to keep this all covered up, Danzo would enlist a fake family to pretty much watch over Sakura and a fake personality that she has to pay to the dime. The same original Sakura that we all know and hate would still be there, and she has the same facade of liking Sasuke like she always would. Except one thing would actually change. Because of the fact that she always hangs around Sasuke and is forced to constantly look at his direction, eventually that side of her that has been locked away for many years of actually being a kid, a girl, would finally begin to creep up. And her feelings towards Sasuke would slowly begin to develop. Even though she's technically a bit stronger than Sasuke, she still views him as a cool individual and somebody that she could definitely see being her longtime partner in the future. That is, if Danzo wasn't in the picture. That said, Team 7 would eventually, after being picked by Kakashi, would go on the Bell Test Endeavor, which would happen according to the original events of Naruto. Except the only real small change here is going to be that Sakura is way more inclined to feed Naruto once he's captured, and she is focused far less on Sasuke. She still of course ends up passing out due to seeing Sasuke on the floor, quote unquote, but it's more of a act, a facade, right? Just to make Kakashi, Sasuke, and Naruto not doubt her abilities. So eventually this would lead to Naruto being tied on the stump, and when Sakura immediately offers her food after Naruto's stomach grumbles, he realizes that maybe she is a nice individual, maybe she's not that bad. Eventually though, they would end up passing the exam with Kakashi explaining to the team the lingo that Obito, his former teammate, had taught him, that those who abandon the mission are trash, but those who abandon their teammates are worse than scum, right? He would tell them that. And eventually what would end up happening is Team 7 would end up being passed and would go on 2 weeks worth of D-rank missions where they would slowly begin to bond with each other, even though they act as if they don't want to, mainly Naruto and Sasuke. Eventually though, the day would come when they would end up pretty much getting the C-rank mission to protect the bridge builder Tazuna, and the day would arrive where they all meet up by the bridge. Everything would eventually go just as it would in canon, until eventually the attack of the 2 demon brothers would come just like usual, which Sasuke would defend Sakura and the bridge builder, and Naruto would be getting rushed by one of the demon brothers. This time around, we're going to be saying that Kakashi wasn't fast enough to get in there in time, and Naruto was about to get killed. But Sakura, not thinking about anything but the mission, would lunge in and actually take out the demon brother, not thinking about how this would look in anybody who is watching's eyes. And she would save the life of Naruto, who was just about to be killed with blinding speed. Sasuke, who was definitely able to keep up with that, would wonder how she was able to do that, and she would smile and blush before saying she's been training in secret for the last couple of months, and that she's been trying incredibly hard to keep up and not be a something to hold the team back. Sasuke, because of this, is too distracted to even focus on making fun of Naruto, and Kakashi would go on to pretty much praise Sakura, informing her that she's doing a very good job, that she might even be the strongest member of the team. With a bit of a smile, he looks at Sasuke and then says, "I'm joking." They continue going on with the mission, and eventually they end up encountering Zabuza, leading to Team 7 having to protect the bridge builder, and the encounter eventually leading everything to the one point where everything changes. This time, instead of Zabuza opting to go grab Kakashi and imprison him with his water prison jutsu, we're going to be saying that instead of that, he actually would opt to actually go and capture Sakura instead, which would actually lead to a very hostile situation where Zabuza holds a kunai to Sakura's throat, who was much too slow to react to the demon of the Miss Zabuza, and essentially would hold her against the team, threatening to kill her if they don't back down and offer up Tazuna, the bridge builder, to him. Kakashi is stuck and doesn't have any answer, and everybody in Team 7 would have sweat dropping from their foreheads, not knowing what they should do. Sasuke and Naruto would meet their eyes and know exactly what they have to do. Eventually, he would go on to scream at the team if they are listening or not, asking, "What is it gonna be, Kakashi? The girl or the bridge builder? Which one? I'm getting tired. One of them is gonna die today." And Team 7 doesn't know what to do at all, until Sakura screams, "Finish the mission! Forget about me! The mission comes first! Don't worry, I'll figure something out!" And the team just looks back at her in absolute confusion. Naruto would not know what to say, but would simply remain quiet as he looks down at the ground, and Kakashi goes on to hold on to Tazuna very strong, right? Gets a very solid grip on him as he begins to slowly walk Tazuna towards the direction of Zabuza, who would smile underneath his mask and say, "That's right, slowly. Bring the bridge builder to me and we won't have any issues." The bridge builder would officially be in the hands of Zabuza as he would throw Sakura onto the ground, and suddenly we basically have Naruto popping out as it's revealed that it was just a transformation jutsu. And he would say, "We'd never abandon our team. Believe it!" As Sakura would have a strange expressionless just face on, as we have a brief flashback of her past, of Danzo beating into her that mission success comes over anything. Your teammates, your own life, everything. The mission is everything. That's literally what Danzo would have been beating into her very being ever since she could remember. And Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi doing this for her makes her eyes finally become open. She finally realizes that she's with a team that cares about her. And so we basically have this situation happening where Naruto goes on to pretty much anger Zabuza after he says that, and he would go on to slash up at Naruto's face with a kunai, which Naruto's barely able to dodge, leaving a scar on his eye. As he would fall back onto the ground, Kakashi would finally rush in with his Sharingan and would eventually begin fighting against Zabuza, who would then go on to pretty much lose due to the fact that he begins to believe that Kakashi can quote-unquote see into the future. Naruto would scream out after being slashed in the eye, but like I said, Kakashi would save him, and Sasuke would rush over towards the direction of Naruto, bringing him back towards the bridge builder as Sakura rushes towards Team 7, and they would all begin to form a triangle-like formation, beginning to ready themselves to essentially protect the bridge builder with all costs. Sakura would mutter thank you under her breath, and Naruto would say it was nothing, believe it, as suddenly we see the wound that Zabuza would have left on Naruto slowly heal, and a strange aura appear on Naruto just long enough for the scar to heal up. Naruto looks at her and she's like, "Naruto, your eye." Naruto says, "Oh, I guess I just heal fast," as he chuckles, and Sasuke and Sakura both wonder how that could have happened. Sasuke, however, still looks at Sakura and says that she has a lot more missions to go through before she can kick the bucket, and Sakura nods her head as she would simply let out, "Right." Suddenly, we basically have a scene where Kakashi stands over Zabuza, and the hidden mist tracking ninja Haku would come in as he hits Zabuza in the neck with Senbon, and he pretty much goes on to take Zabuza away from the area, which would leave Team 7 to ponder what just happened. Eventually, though, they end up making their way back to Tazuna's house, where they end up meeting the great personality that is Inari, and eventually things kind of align the way that they would in canon. Sakura and Sasuke would, however, have one interaction where Sasuke would be watching Sakura train, and a slight blush would come over his face, because he can see that she's not just another one of those random kunoichi that just sits there and does nothing. She's different, I guess you could say. And why am I doing this? Because, I mean, obviously Sakura is going to end up with Sasuke, whether we like it or not, just because I don't want Naruto to, so why not develop the ship a little bit instead of just having it happen for no reason, right? That's just my train of thought. Eventually, though, what would end up happening is essentially the day would come where the bridge incident would end up going down. Naruto would end up coming in and quote-unquote saving Sasuke. He would eventually let out a rage like none other and activate the power of the QB. Sasuke would be presumably dead on the floor as Sakura cries over him and yells, "Sasuke!" right? And Naruto would simply be getting ready to punch Haku's lights out. However, he would break the mask, revealing that it was Haku underneath, and Haku would tank the blast of the Chidori straight to the heart, making it so that he could defend Zabuza one last time, making himself useful finally. And eventually, Gato's men would arrive, leading Zabuza to have that speech given to him by Naruto, and eventually lunging at all of the members of Gato's force and Gato himself, liberating the village from Gato's rule. After this, Naruto would go over to look at Sakura, who has some slight scratches on her from, previous encounters, and he's like, "So we passed our first C rank mission." They're all happy and discussing things slowly over the course of the walk back to Konohah, and it's at this moment that we basically get a scene where Sakura is essentially just pondering like if what she's doing is right. I mean, she's leading the guy that literally just saved her life practically back to Konohah on multiple occasions, and the person who she deems to be a real teammate, somebody who's not just there with her because she's useful, she's a pawn, somebody who can actually bring something to the table. Sakura begins to ponder whether her actions are right, and obviously she knows they're not, so she begins to have some self-doubt inside of her mind, but it's not enough to let her tell Team 7 what exactly is going on with the mission or anything along those sorts. This is simply laying down the foundation to what will eventually happen in terms of Sakura and Team 7's betrayal finally coming to light, because obviously we know that the betrayal of them is not exactly a far-fetched thing. I mean, Naruto was pretty much had his entire life pretty much be ruined by Danzo by him explaining to the villagers that Naruto was the demon. Sasuke's entire clan was destroyed by the village because of Danzo, and Sakura was put under years of horrible treatment because of him as well. The entirety of Team 7 has been wronged by Danzo in some way, shape, and form, and we can even have it orchestrated so that Danzo was the man who actually had Sakumo Hatake kill himself. He was the one who drove him to that point. We could maybe have a situation where he was the one that rigged the mission and led to Kakashi's father's death, so that each one of the members of Team 7 would have a rightful reason to be angry with the village. These are the seeds that are currently being placed down, and eventually all will be let loose. Everything will be discovered, but that's pretty much gonna be for the next part. So tune in to the next episode of Dragon Balls. I'm totally kidding, guys. The story is still gonna happen, okay? Don't click off the video quite yet, okay? All right. We're good? All right, anyways. So basically what ends up happening is the team would essentially continue going towards the direction of Konoha, where they would pretty much go on to just have conversations, talk about everything that just happened, with Sakura essentially telling everybody that, you know, she's thankful and pretty much explaining that if it wasn't for them, she would probably be dead by now. Naruto would simply let out, "Don't worry about it. We would have saved you 100 times over if we had to. Believe it." And Sasuke lets out, "Yeah, you're part of the team," as he looks away and a slight blush would come on his face. Kakashi would smile underneath his mask, and eventually they would find themselves in the office of Hiruzen, who would simply give them their pay for the mission and would actually end up elevating the mission to a B or A ranked mission, depending on, you know, how he's feeling, right? But their pay would be up quite a bit, and Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi would get a bag for that one day. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the part of the video where your boy has to sell out. I mean, come on now. This is average stinks for everybody. I gotta let you guys know about the sponsor of today's video, Fandom. As anime fans, we love to show our support to our favorite shows by rocking anime apparel. But something I'm pretty sure we can all agree on is it's so expensive. So I've partnered up with Fandom to bring you all affordable, high quality anime merch that you are sure to love. And if you use my code Xehther at checkout, you can even get an extra 10% off the already affordable merch. Keep in mind, it does come from overseas sellers, so its sizing is going to be different since it's overseas. That said, let's get back into the video. Hiruzen, after giving Team 7 said bag, would pretty much go on to tell the team to essentially make their way back to wherever it is that they want to go, aka their houses, to train, and would nod at Kakashi to pretty much inform Team 7 about the tuning exam, something that only one of the members of Team 7 is currently aware is even a thing. What happens after this is a very strange situation, because this time around Naruto's not going to be bumping into Konohamaru, who would essentially be in trouble with Kankuro. This time around we have a very different situation that goes down, that's essentially just Team 7 walking through the same area that Gaara's squad is at, and what would end up happening is Kankuro would go on to pretty much like scoff at the ninjas who just walked past them, particularly Naruto. He goes on to pretty much very loudly say that all of the ninjas from the Leaf Village are weak, as he looks at Naruto, and Naruto turns back around. Being his usual self, he would quickly go on to remark back at Kankuro that he has no idea what he's talking about, that who does he think he is wearing makeup? Isn't that a girl thing? And Kankuro would simply let out, "Why, you little," as he goes forward to grab one of his puppets, but Tamari would hold her hand on Kankuro's shoulder and say, "We're not here to start another war, Kankuro, calm down." Gaara would be up in the tree silent, as Sasuke would be staring at the direction of Gaara, and the two of them would kind of be having the same situation that would have happened in canon. Gaara's staring at Sasuke, and they're both kind of curious to see how strong the other is, while Naruto just remains arguing with Kankuro. Eventually though, Sakura goes on to grab Naruto and be like, "Come on Naruto, we gotta go. It's not even right for us to be fighting these guys right now." And suddenly, Naruto would let out, "Wait, what are you guys even doing in our village? Aren't you guys part of the Sand Village? Like, what are you even doing here?" Tamari begins to pretty much scoff at how clueless these ninjas are and say, aren't you guys ninjas? Like, shouldn't you be aware of this? The Chunin exams is happening in about 2 weeks. That's why we're here." And after hearing this, Team 7 is like, "What? We had no idea." Even Sakura goes on to pretend that she had no clue what's going on, but everybody knows she definitely does. What happens afterwards is the team would pretty much go off and Naruto would be kicking cans down the road being like, I could have taken that guy down. Sasuke would say that there was definitely one powerful person in that squad that Naruto probably didn't sense him. And Naruto would just let out, who, what? There was someone else? Sasuke says, I knew you wouldn't sense him, you dope. And suddenly Naruto would be like, yeah, whatever, I don't even need to sense him. I was focused on the guy with the makeup on his face. Suddenly, the team ends up making it to a road where they all decide to go their separate ways, and Sakura would pretty much go on to go report to Danzo, where she would be informed that during the Chunin exams, inside of the Forest of Death with that portion of the exam, they're going to be encountering a sound ninja known as Orochimaru, and that her mission is to not interfere with his plans on implanting the curse mark on Sasuke, and that afterwards, she pretty much is going to have to learn whatever she can about Sasuke and Naruto and essentially try to make it so that she could actually capture Naruto himself and pretty much betray the team that at this point has already been building a very powerful bond. Sakura would have self-doubts within her mind and she would be completely unsure what she wants to do, not knowing if she should betray the team that has been pretty much nothing but good to her for the man who was simply beating her entire life, took away her parents, and essentially treats her like garbage. She's unsure, but she decides that she'll find out when the time is right. That being said, the team pretty much goes on to continue on with their regular duties, going on D-rank missions, at least 2 of them, with the team essentially going out for ramen on one particular day, which Naruto would offer to pay after that huge bag that he had just received, right? When this happens, we have a little cool moment between Team 7 where they're all kind of bonding with each other and beginning to kind of get to know each other more and more, as Team 7 is kind of like, how do I put this? Team 7 is finally beginning to feel like a real team and not just a bunch of kids who were lumped together because of random circumstances. They're becoming friends, actually, and that's kind of great. But regardless of that fact, the day of the Chunin exams would end up arriving, and events that would lead up to that would pretty much remain just like they would be in canon. Sasuke would still unfortunately end up taking an L to Rock Lee, which would pretty much end up damaging Sasuke's ego quite heavily just due to the fact that the dude has not been used to taking an L to anybody, especially a dude with a bowl cut and huge bushy eyebrows. Could you imagine if an Edgar pulled up on you and gave you it like rocked your shit in front of the girl you like and in front of pretty much your best friend? That would hurt my ego, but that's just me personally. So yeah. But regardless of that fact, what ends up pretty much happening after this is Team 7 goes on to take the written portion of the exam of the Chunin exams, and this goes down relatively like it would in canon, leading to the events that would happen between Team 7, Anko, and the Forest of Death event pretty much going down and beginning to take place. We end up having this scenario where essentially Team 7 is in the forest, Naruto goes off to take a leak, and once Naruto begins to essentially wrap up, the man's trying to put a schlong back into his pants, this gigantic snake comes at him, and no, it's not his own snake but a different one, and it pretty much goes to eat Naruto. Naruto from here goes on to use the multi-shadow clone jutsu and literally makes the snake explode from the inside out from how many Narutos were inside. Ayo, pause. But we basically get a scene where Naruto rushes back to his team and sees Sakura and Sasuke pretty much paralyzed in fear to the power of this ninja that stands before them. In the original, Orochimaru didn't exactly try to kill Sakura, and that wasn't even one of his concerns mainly. So we're gonna be saying that this time around he has a reason not to attack because it's one of Danzo's many pawns, right? But this time around, that's exactly why he doesn't attack Sakura. So he's pretty much trying to get underneath Sasuke's skin, and eventually he would stab himself with a kunai to override his fear with pain. He's finally able to get himself and Sakura out of that situation, and Naruto would lunge in as he would say, "Believe it!" And he then begins to fight against Orochimaru alongside Sasuke, with both of them trying their absolute best to, pretty much handle him. And we obviously would still get the scene where Naruto stops the snake, except remember guys, Sasuke in the very beginning never calls Naruto a scaredy cat. So instead, Naruto turns back to Sasuke, has a smirk on his face and says, "You alright?" Before Sasuke just looks at him scared, and Naruto says, "Scaredy cat." And he would be the first one to actually say it to Sasuke, because Sasuke at this moment needs to hear that. He needs to hear that he's being a complete, I don't know if I could even say the word, but a complete female dog. Like, he is just not being the Sasuke that Naruto grew up with in the academy. This is not him. This is a completely different person. But Sasuke snaps out of it, and they begin to throw hands with Orochimaru. It's at this point that Orochimaru is like, hey, yo, these kids are actually kind of strong. Eventually, however, the power of the Nine Tails would begin rising within Naruto, and he would eventually have the Nine Tails power sealed away even tighter by Orochimaru, who uses the 5-prong seal to essentially knock Naruto out until further notice, and then rushes towards the direction of Sasuke for a little bit longer of an encounter with Taijutsu, until eventually he kicks Sasuke to another branch and uses his jutsu to essentially elongate his neck and go to give Sasuke a hickey. But Sakura looks at this in slow motion and she's like, hey, yo, you're not finna give my man a hickey, right? And she pretty much lunges in with a kunai without even thinking twice about it. She was not thinking about the mission at this moment. She wanted to protect Sasuke and keep Sasuke from falling into the hands of either Danzo or Orochimaru, because she knows what it's like and she doesn't care if she has to die later in the future to save Sasuke, the guy that has protected her on one numerous occasion when she should have died before. So in her eyes, she's glad to sacrifice her life for Sasuke. She rushes in the way and kicks Orochimaru so hard that Orochimaru gets sent back. Or actually, no, she punches him and goes, cha, right? And Orochimaru is sent back flying, just wondering what just happened. Like, apparently that brat was supposed to not interfere with the plans. That's what Danzo had told them. So Orochimaru at this current moment is kind of just confused because he's not sure how this Genin was able to speed blitz him. And Sasuke's even like kind of shocked as well, because Sakura was displaying the same amount of speed that he has when he's using the Sharingan. His Sharingan struggled just a tiny bit to keep up with her. So that's what kind of gets to Sasuke, and he begins to wonder what is even going on. Eventually though, Orochimaru, after having that blow to him, has one of two options: to retreat or to try once again. However, before he even gets the chance to try once again, Anko would appear, and it's at this moment that we now have Sakura, Sasuke, and Anko facing off against Orochimaru, who would pretty much be forced to retreat, and on his way of leaving, he would pretty much mutter under his breath, "Ah, damn Brett, Danzo will find out what you did, you damn traitor," as suddenly he leaves the area, and we have this situation happen where they make their way towards the tower and proceed to chill for the next couple of days. Obviously, the events with the sound team would still happen, and this time around, when Sasuke wakes up, he doesn't wake up and activate the curse mark and start going on a rampage. No, instead we have a much different scene where Sasuke's actually able to help the teams that were there to assist them with taking out the sound Genin, with all of them kind of respecting each other and having a mutual appreciation for the help that they just gave each other, and Sasuke not even having to struggle as much in his battle against his fight of the Chunin exams. So Sasuke has a lot more of an easier time than he would in the original, not to mention that Sasuke would not have to deal with Kakashi, covering the curse mark, and the hatred and evil inside of him would not be leaking out as much as it would be in the original. However, after all of the battles that would happen in the Chunin exams happen, we essentially get this scene where Sakura pretty much like solemnly goes towards the direction of Danzo, doing the walk of shame, where Danzo essentially now knows what she did because Orochimaru snitched, and he proceeds to beat the life out of Sakura, almost killing her. And he would beat her like for hours with a crowbar, and he pretty much ends up like thinking to himself that he needs to enact severe measures to stop Sakura from essentially telling the team anything or trying to get in his way once again. That her mission isn't to protect Sasuke, that her mission is to bring him to her, and that she's failing at that currently. So Danzo would essentially begin to tell her that if she ever tries to interfere with his plans again, he'll make sure that she shares the same fate as her parents. As now, we essentially skip towards skip towards the 1 month training, and it's been about 2 weeks, right? And during this 1 month of training, Sakura is actually training herself because she won the battle against Ino due to the fact that this time she's a lot more stronger. So she had to make it seem as if it was almost a very close battle because Danzo was watching, but it really wasn't. Sakura was in control that entire time, regardless of what Ino or the crowd was thinking. Like I said though, the rest of the fights would go just like they would in the original, and during these couple of weeks, Sakura would be informed that during the final battle, she's gonna be having to capture the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and the Uchiha Brat for Danzo to essentially finally have control over the Nine-Tails, and for Orochimaru to get his hands on Sasuke Uchiha. After hearing this, we have this moment where the screen would zoom in on Sakura's face and this look of horror and shock would come over Sakura. She has no idea what she's going to be doing, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the story is finally going to hit its peak. This is where everything is going to begin being revealed and everything is going to start making sense. After this revelation by Danzo, she would pretty much have two choices. She either tells the team what's about to happen, or she has to watch the two people that have only shown her kindness in her life get pretty much taken over and fall to the dark side because she was too afraid of facing the consequences. And she would simply think that she owes this much to them at the very least for all the good memories that they've given her. Yeah, obviously punching Naruto in the head a couple of times hasn't been the best thing that she's like doing, but she has to do it nonetheless. But they've been growing with bonds, and it's at this moment that Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi would be informed to talk with Sakura at Ichiraku Ramen shop, when suddenly we have this moment where she slowly begins to explain everything to Naruto and Sasuke. And you guys might be wondering, how is she able to even say anything? Doesn't Danzo have one of those seals on her mouth to prevent her from saying things? I'm going to be saying that for the purposes of plot, she was able to essentially not get that just due to the fact that before she pretty much had no reason to get it. I'm not even gonna lie, I can't think of a reasonable reason for her not to even get that thing, but let's just say that she needs to not have it for the sake of the story. If you guys can think of a very interesting reason down below, I would love to hear it, and then I can retcon this so that it makes more sense, but I would need some help from you guys, seriously. But regardless of that said fact, she begins to pretty much explain everything to Naruto and Sasuke, and suddenly we would have Kakashi crashing in there, falling over with blood leaking out of his left eye, with blood just rushing out, and then Danzo and a bunch of Anbu members appearing out of nowhere as he would go on to inform them that they are under arrest for conspiracy to betray the Leaf Village. Picking off our story in midst of the chaos that had just went down, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura are in shock. Kakashi's literally lying there bleeding. Naruto and Sasuke both rush to Kakashi and ask him if he's okay, and Kakashi would simply mutter, "My Sharingan, he took it." Danzo, after hearing this, would reply with, "That Sharingan you possessed wasn't yours to begin with." As Sakura would then look towards the direction of Danzo with fear in her eyes, and he would slowly walk over to her as he would begin to tell her that he told her that this would happen, that there would be consequences for disobeying him. And ever since that little run-in that she had with Orochimaru, I've had spies keeping a close eye on you. At this moment, Naruto and Sasuke would be in shock after hearing what had just happened, and Naruto in a fit of rage would grab one of his kunais and charge at the direction of Danzo, screaming, "Who the hell are you, old man?" As he would say, "What'd you do to Kakashi-sensei?" Immediately trying to swipe at the direction of Danzo, but an Anbu member would grab Naruto's arm and uppercut him, sending him flying back. Naruto would pick himself up slowly as he would grunt in pain, and Sasuke would ask him what he's doing here and be shocked at what's happening, as he looks at Sakura with this look of just what's going on. But right then and there, Danzo would pretty much look at Sasuke, and after that, Sasuke activates his 1 and 2 Tomoe Sharingan in each eye, as he then proceeds to throw kunais at the Anbus who would attack Naruto, but he would miss. Back to Sakura, Danzo would trap her inside of a genjutsu and makes her see the death of her parents, and then a shadow on the ground would appear. The shadow would actually be Sasuke dead, literally bleeding out, as Sakura would look at Sasuke and he would simply say, "Sakura, how could you? You let us down. You're a traitor. And she looks back at Sasuke screaming, no, 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 this can't be real. It can't. You're not dead. They're all still alive. This is a genjutsu. As she's finally able to release it, and it's at this moment that the first thing that she would see would be Danzo, who would be right about to strike her with a kunai, but now she really thinks that, she really thinks about everything for a moment, as suddenly, how do I explain this? It's a crazy scene where she breaks out of the genjutsu, looks at Danzo, and Danzo is just about to swipe her with a kunai with his good arm, right? He's about to swipe at her, but suddenly Teuchi, the ramen guy, would knock Danzo across the head with a frying pan, immobilizing him for just enough time for Sakura to be able to, get out of the way. And immediately following this, Teuchi would be shot at with a fireball style jutsu by one of his Anbu members, as literally a pile of ashes would be the only thing that would remain from the ramen guy. And after this, Sakura would rush in the direction of Naruto and Sasuke and tell them that they have to go now, as both of them look at her with these shocked expressions, and Kakashi stands up weakly as he says, I'll buy you guys enough time. This village has taken a lot of things from me, but it's not going to be taking another team from me ever again. He pretty much ends up grabbing his eye and covering over with his headband, and suddenly he looks at the direction of Danzo as he begins to fight back against each and every single one of the Anbus. Knowing their tricks, he pretty much just sacrifices himself this time and lets Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto run away long enough for them to be able to barely escape the Anbu members. As we now fast forward 2 to 3 hours into the future, and they all pretty much wake up to find themselves near the Valley of the End, with Sakura standing watch over Naruto and Sasuke, and Naruto asking what happened as he grumbles in pain, within simply saying that the last thing he remembers was that they were at Ichiraku Ramen and then Kakashi Sensei. He stops for a moment and it's as if time stops. Kakashi Sensei! What happened to Kakashi Sensei? He would scream. And Sakura would look down at the ground and she would in tears say, it's my fault, Naruto. It's my fault, Kakashi's. And suddenly, we see Naruto and Sasuke's eyes both widen as they both look at her, and Naruto grabs her by the collar and says, tell me everything. How did this happen, Sakura? What do you mean it's your fault? But Sasuke would stop him and say, stop, Naruto. Let's let her explain at the very least. As it's at this moment that Sakura would explain everything. How it was Danzo who had the Uchiha massacre happening by making Itachi choose between the village or his clan. Also, about how during the Nine Tails attack 13 years ago, it was Danzo who had the Uchiha away from the Nine Tails, leading to the death of Naruto's parents, Minato, the fourth Hokage, and Kushina Uzumaki, the red-hot habanero of the Hidden Leaf. Also, how she was a spy sent by Danzo to capture Naruto and help give Sasuke to Orochimaru. Upon hearing this, Naruto and Sasuke would be full of rage and shocked. They're shocked at the fact that Sakura was secretly an Anbu member that was sent to capture both of them, and they're both just feeling these mixed emotions: hatred, rage, sadness. They don't know how to feel. Naruto feels betrayed by his teammate, but he doesn't know if he can really feel as sad about his parents. I mean, now he knows that he's the son of the fourth Hokage, and Sasuke now knows that it wasn't Itachi who actually did that on his own. It's as if their worlds are shattering before them, but Sasuke is the one who's taking it the hardest. His Sharingan would immediately activate as he looks at Sakura and says, how long? How long did you know this, Sakura? You were just never gonna tell me? You were just playing with me? With us? You were playing us for fools, weren't you? This whole time, I bet you were just... But Naruto would hold one hand out in front of him and say, stop. This isn't gonna bring anybody back. Not my parents, not your family, not your clan. Sakura, how did this happen? And Sakura after this would pretty much go on to essentially explain to them that she was pretty much taken away from her parents at a young age, that she was trained and sheltered by Danzo, and that she was given a home, and all of the current responsibilities by Danzo ever since she can remember. After this point, Sasuke would simply grit his teeth saying that she's a traitor, as Naruto looks back at him and tells him to calm down, that it's not her fault, that she, just like them, was manipulated, betrayed, and played by that village that took everything away from them. His parents, his childhood, Sasuke's parents, his childhood, his clan, his brother. He took everything from them. And like Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke would simply sit in a pool of silence for the next couple of minutes, not really knowing what to say, what to do, what to think. I mean, how would you feel if literally everything in your life has been a lie, your parents died, and it was because of a certain person in the Leaf Village that had your worst interests at heart? This is some crazy, crazy stuff if you really take a step back just for a moment and truly start to think about everything that they are having to go through at this current moment. It's literally insane. Like, the betrayal of Team 7 is real. And I'm not sure how Team 7 would have reacted in the original to something like this, but now it's kind of crazy, and that's all I'm gonna say. But as of now, what would end up pretty much happening following this situation is that they would pretty much end up saying that from that day forth, they swear to kill Danzo someday and pretty much get revenge for everything that village did to them. As time would go on, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura would decide that they have to fend for themselves, and they would wander from village and town to town, pretty much thinking of what it is that they're going to be doing to survive. A couple of months would pass and they would end up naming themselves the group of Taka, just because I enjoy the name personally. And essentially what would end up happening is one day along his mission, Naruto would overhear the name of the Toad Sage, and it's at this moment that it would snap in his head. Jiraiya. Right, Jiraiya. He's not in with that. He couldn't be. Not him. I know for sure he's good. There has to have been at least some people in the village that weren't being played by him. And a Sannin, somebody like him, I doubt it. He begins to pretty much tell the team of his suspicions about how he thinks that Jiraiya might not be in with the Leaf as deep as they think, and he would end up inevitably sending a letter to Jiraiya that he would end up receiving, and after seeing this, they would pretty much leave some coordinates for Jiraiya to follow them there. Jiraiya would be told in the letter not to say anything to Danzo, to Hiruzen, to nobody, to simply go out as if it's a tracking ninja like usual. And Jiraiya would do so, finding Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. And once he's there, he would crack a joke and begin to ask Naruto why they left, that it's time to come back now. And Naruto would look at Jiraiya and say he has no idea, does he? Jiraiya would ask what he's talking about, and Naruto would finally let out, that's what I thought. They never tell you anything. Did you know that the village was responsible for the Uchiha massacre? For the death of my parents? For the enslavement of Sakura into the Anbu? And even for the death of Kakashi? The death of Kakashi's on the hands of that man Danzo. He took everything away from us and he claims us as traitors to the Hidden Leaf Village. He was probably going to cover the whole situation up, Sasuke would say, as Naruto would look to Jiraiya and say, please Jiraiya, tell us you came alone. As Jiraiya looks to Naruto and nods, and a serious tone would come through the air as he would finally begin to understand what's truly going on, the kind of aura of darkness that surrounds Naruto and the squad. As he would then pretty much begin to essentially tell the team that as things are now, all that they have is each other and Jiraiya. And he would ask Jiraiya if he could please train them for just a year, teach them everything and anything he can, each one of them in different areas, and they can train each other after that they need to take out Danzo. And Jiraiya would even tell them that he's gonna help take down Danzo, but he's not sure if he could do it alone. He's gonna be needing their help. So in 3 years' time, that's when the attack is going to be happening on Danzo. So now they have 3 years to prepare. 1 year to essentially train and work on the fundamentals that Jiraiya is going to be teaching them, such as ninjutsus and even helping Sasuke out with the Sharingan, with Jiraiya pretty much teaching them everything that he could have possibly taught them, and towards the end of the year, essentially offering them the opportunity to train in Mount Miyaboku, to help them all learn Sage Mode. And they would do so. About another 6 months would pass and the entirety of Team 7 would end up learning Sage Mode. After a couple of months and using the Shadow Clone Jutsu, they were all able to finally do it, meaning that Team Taka was a team formed of all Sage members. Like Sasuke has Sage Mastery, Sakura has Sage Mastery, and Naruto does as well. They all have their fundamentals through the roof, their jutsu styles, their chakra control, their natures, they all are in sync with everything that they're capable of. Naruto is more than in sync with his wind style and his I believe that Naruto would definitely have a good affinity for wind style, and I'm gonna go with water style. Sakura has water and earth, Sasuke has lightning, fire, and earth, lightning, I don't know, but some random element. It doesn't really matter considering that those types of jutsus won't really be the real reason that they win. Obviously Sasuke would have had a bit more mastery over the Chidori, Naruto would have learned the Rasengan, and so would Sakura have, and Sasuke didn't want to learn anything but the Chidori just due to the fact that he wants to honor Kakashi. Not only that, but Sasuke's on a mission to find his brother and tell him that he knows everything, that he's not the villain that he thought he was, and honestly say sorry for everything that happened between them, for hating him for as long as he did. He never understood, but now Sasuke does, and he's never going to be letting a village or anybody else manipulate him the way that he was manipulated. That said, they pretty much end up getting stronger and stronger throughout the years, and they would become bounty hunters to essentially survive and gather as much money as they possibly could. At first, they start with slow missions, and as time went on, they were able to amass a following, a group of people who believed in them and their abilities, and they became renowned as the group by the name of Taka. Itachi would eventually catch wind of this, and Sasuke would want to come into contact with his brother, but for now, he's more preoccupied on the sudden notion of taking out the Leaf Village. Before this could have actually happened and the 3-year date came along, Sasuke would actually end up receiving a letter from his brother Itachi, telling him that it was now time. It was time for both of them to meet and to finally have their final battle. But it won't be a battle in Sasuke's eyes. It will simply be Sasuke talking to his brother, and they begin to make their way towards the direction of the Uchiha compound, where Sasuke is gonna, fight his older brother, Itachi. 3 days would pass, and during these 3 days, Sasuke would simply just be thinking about what he's gonna say. Naruto and Sakura would simply be backing Sasuke up, and essentially what goes on to happen here is they end up arriving. Just like in the original, Kisame would allow Sasuke to go through, but his teammates, they have to stay back. Naruto would look at the direction of Kisame and tell him that he's going through, and that he's not about to stop him. And Kisame grabs his sword handle and pretty much just tells him that if he wants to die and has a death wish, he'll gladly appease to that. And so he would grab his sword out and look at the direction of Naruto, as Naruto would simply use the Shadow Clone Jutsu and Sakura would get into a fighting stance, as both of them prepare themselves and immediately lunge at the direction of Kisame. Kunais in hands, they begin to jump into the air, front flips, kicks, like punches. Kunai strikes at Kisame, but Kisame, through his skills, sheer power, and speed, would be able to keep up with them just for a bit, until eventually the battle begins to essentially ramp up and Naruto's kicks would begin getting harder. Sakura's speed would begin rising and her punches would feel like literal nukes. Kisame would begin to slowly begin getting overwhelmed, and it's at this point that he begins to go all out against Team 7. They would then finally begin to have a bit of a moment where they feel as if they're almost on even terms with each other. And Naruto decides that it's about time that he whips something out that's definitely going to help him during this battle. He closes his eyes for a moment while Sakura continues attacking and gets sent flying back while Naruto activates Sage Mode, and he would then rush in to fight Kisame, Sage Mode activated, as well as his Kurama Chakra mode that he actually has activated right now. He has KCM activated with a very, very imperfected version of his chakra mode. It's not the one that he rips away from Kurama, but it's like a 6 tails state, like a 5 tails controlled state that he just has like 5 tails behind him and Sage Mode activated. So he's like struggling to keep this form because it's like his strongest state that he has as of now, which is really, really hard to control. So he's barely able to maintain it for about a minute, which was all he needed to basically body Kisame and kill him, because as soon as Kisame was defeated, Kisame essentially like was asked a couple of questions by Naruto, and after that Kisame just used a jutsu to kill himself by sharks, just like he would have against Might Guy. This would lead Naruto and Sakura to rest for a bit and then make their way towards Itachi, as well as Sasuke. And Sasuke, once he sees like both of them also come towards him, he looks at them and kind of just nods his head, as he already knows that the act is up. He's done finally faking with his little brother. Itachi looks at Sasuke, and Sasuke would ask him like how all of this happened. And Itachi would finally literally explain everything perfectly, no details missing, how he was told by Hiruzen, how Danzo was the one who pretty much forced him to do it, how it was either him or the village would have started a war, how the reasoning that the Uchiha massacre happened was because Danzo didn't let the village the Uchihas actually prevent the Nine Tails from attacking, and how literally almost everything bad and dark with the village was because of Danzo. That Danzo's the reason that so many things were started, and that with his death so many things could have been prevented. But now that he's not even there, Itachi realizes that now he has no need to simply like stay in the Akatsuki or even keep putting this act up. Obito would be around, and he would kind of be watching alongside with Zetsu, who would inform them that Itachi is now officially not with them and that he's not going to continue working alongside them. Sasuke, after this with his brother would happen, would essentially ask Itachi, if there's anything that he hasn't told him. And Itachi would say that there is one thing: the secret of the Mangekyo Sharingan and the EMS, as they would then both have the EMS surgery placed with them by Sakura, who would be able to do it. I don't think it's that hard of a procedure if Obito was able to do it, so I think Sakura would definitely be able to get by with this. And what I'm personally seeing happening here is a moment in which Itachi realizes that the tailed beasts are all currently getting captured. So, he kind of wants to stop the Akatsuki because they're a threat in and of themselves. And so they end up going towards the land of the clouds, this time not to capture Killer Bee, but to essentially save him. They end up going in as rogue ninjas, and essentially what they do is once they see a bunch of commotion happening, they rush there, right? And Itachi with EMS finally has no drawbacks from using his eyes and stuff like that. His vision was returned to him, but his sickness definitely still exists. And what would be happening here is basically Obito would be the one there to try to capture Killer Bee, but he only has his Sharingan in one eye, and he doesn't have the Rinnegan or Kakashi Sharingan or anything like that. So the battle would be a very, very intense one, where it's going to essentially be Killer Bee, Naruto with Sage Mode and his little Kurama state that he currently has, Sakura with Sage Mode, Sasuke with Sage Mode and the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Itachi with the Mangekyo Sharingan. This is a absolutely stacked battle against Obito, who at this point is bloodlusted and trying his absolute hardest to defeat them. They're having an extremely tough time, but Itachi's the only one who is being able to kind of create a strategy to fighting against Obito. Since I do believe that if Itachi and Obito fought, Itachi would at least be able to put up a bit of a fight against him. But with the help of Sasuke, an EMS, Naruto, and Killer Bee, I think that it's more than possible that they would definitely be able to make Obito retreat and get out of there, forcing the moment when Raikage Killer Bee or Raikage A arrives. He sees these ninja there that helped his brother, and he then begins to ask them what business they had here, until Killer Bee essentially stops his brother and pretty much tells him that they're good people, they're there to help. And the Raikage pretty much ends up telling them that he owes them a favor for this. After this, they all kind of look at each other, and they would ask if there's any way that they could help heal Itachi. They try, they stay there for a couple of weeks, but nothing. Itachi's sickness is far beyond the capabilities of the Raikage, but maybe, just maybe, Tsunade could potentially help out with that. She would be a really good candidate to actually heal Itachi. So Itachi would essentially be told by the group to pretty much remain calm and not do anything fishy or anything along those lines, right? He would pretty much just be acting as, kind of their leader for now, seeing as he has more experience than all of them and things of that sort. And what would essentially be happening at this point is during the weeks that they were trying to heal Itachi, Naruto would actually spend this time bonding with the Raikage and with Killer Bee mostly, who would actually help him unlock KCM1. And after he's able to unlock this, because he has Sage Mode and now he has that, he technically now has the power of KCM2. He would meet his father and mother on this very same day, and the attack on the village hidden in the leaves would not happen because there's no Jinchuriki. There's literally no reason why Pain should attack. And if he did, he would probably end up having to fight Danzo, who is now the Hokage. Mind you, Danzo's the Hokage, because with Jiraiya being there in the village and not being there for 1 year, he couldn't take the mantle of Hokage, so he ended up having to just be a bystander. And the Leaf Village has gone into a more like power hungry, like tyrannical village that has been doing just horrible things. Like the Leaf Village has started to get on people's bad sides, but Danzo still hasn't wrapped it up to the level of war quite yet. But one good thing would be that since the organization Taka is there, they were able to essentially talk Killer Bee into enlisting them into the next Chunin exams as a squad that will essentially be there for just getting the upgrade of becoming a Chunin, right? As a favor for saving Killer Bee. And essentially they would end up posing as 3 Genin with their little Jonin sensei Itachi, who are all using the transformation jutsu known as Menma, Sumire, and Suzuki. I'm just kidding. Nah, seriously, but whatever name you guys really want to give to Sasuke is completely irrelevant. But just know that they all go in as different people, much like Orochimaru would have infiltrated the Genin exams. And basically they would pose as 3 Genins infiltrating the village, as they would end up creating their plot as their little revenge mission against Danzo. Naruto would communicate with Jiraiya during this time, and what would essentially happen is during this little examination thing that would be happening, Hinata would actually end up encountering Naruto, and she would kind of have the hots for him a little bit. Hinata, I mean. Because even though she is a little heartbroken at the fact that Naruto was plotting to betray the Leaf Village, which is now public news, but she kind of feels a little bit of a resemblance with him. As, Team 7 would also meet Hinata, but there's something about Menma that Hinata would notice, and that would make her think of Naruto. So she would wonder but not exactly say anything. And essentially what ends up happening is she and him would begin to start a little convo, where he's like, hey, I'm Menma. And, he begins to introduce himself as a person from the village hidden in the clouds. As, you know what I mean? Hinata looks at him and says, you look similar to somebody I once knew. And Menma's like, hope not too similar. And then Sasuke comes in and pretty much is just like, we're not here to make friends. We have a village to make proud. As it's at this reason that Sasuke, was basically stopping him, because he doesn't want Team 7 to essentially get attached to this village that was responsible for all their pain during the years. But it would pretty much be inevitable, because the way that I see this happening is that during this mission and during this time that they are pretty much going through the Chunin exams, I see Sasuke reliving a lot of good memories as well as obviously bad ones. But Sasuke, Itachi, Naruto, and Sakura would be shown that the people here are living in suffering. Like, the people here don't even look half as happy as how they did when, Hiruzen was under leadership of the village. The village feels different, but it also feels the same in some strange ways. And they would get this feeling of like, should we really punish the village entirely for what Danzo did? Danzo might be the Hokage now, but maybe we can save the village. Maybe we don't have to be the bad guys. Maybe we don't have to kill thousands of civilians. There's already been one too many massacres here for them to go to sleep at night. And Sasuke thinks himself that maybe it might not be so bad to save these people. So their plan would begin changing. Essentially, their ideal tactic now is going to be to essentially rush at Danzo and kill him in the final exams of the battle, which is pretty much what's essentially going to be happening. As soon as the final battle would start, Naruto would be actually facing off against his teammate Samire or whatever, right? And basically what ends up happening is, you know, the proctor would start the exam. But as soon as he does, the entirety of Team Taka would body flicker to Danzo and strike him with a Chidori, Rasengan, and a chakra-infused punch. As now, they all look at each other and they think that they did it, but in reality, they haven't finished. As they look towards the direction of Danzo, who just appears and is clapping, saying that he never thought he'd see them again. Naruto would scream, "It's now or never, guys," as Sakura informs them that it's a jutsu that he has from the Sharingan in his arms. Danzo would finally reveal this in front of the village, and a gigantic battle would start with the Leaf Shinobi trying to essentially get in their way. But Itachi, as well as the Raikage and a couple of his men, would pretty much be fighting them off, as it would essentially just be Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura against Danzo. Now, we saw Sasuke be able to take him out in a much weaker state, so just kind of picture what you guys think would end up happening. This would be a stronger Danzo, actually, because of more years of training and more plotting and things like that, more power-ups. But even with all that said, he was not able to even keep up with them, with Naruto going into KCM2, Sasuke using his Mangekyo Sharingan in Sage Mode, and Sakura activating Sage Mode as well. She would pretty much end up latching onto Naruto, and they would both, rush in with each other, trying to strike Danzo, as they would end up pretty much blowing Danzo's right arm off and chopping his head off. At this moment, they would proceed to pretty much unleash their most devastating attacks, with Naruto using a Sage Mode enhanced Rasen Shuriken, Sakura using a water style Spike Thorn attack, water style 1000 Impalement Jutsu, Sasuke using a Chidori Stream and a Madarasu for the sake of it, and even being able to fold Danzo for a span of like 15 minutes. After this, everything would be said and done and Danzo would be dead. He would try to pretty much do the bombing jutsu, but with him being in the Leaf Village, he couldn't even bring himself to, because even as evil as he is, he wouldn't want to destroy the people that he has always been trying to quote unquote protect. But after that, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura would finally let out a breath of air as they would breathe in and pretty much look to the direction of Danzo as they begin to stomp him out, because this man was literally responsible for millions of unspeakable atrocities. They would then look towards the direction of everybody as they stand on top of the building and let out, "We are Team 7. We're the ones who were framed for plotting to betray the Leaf, but we aren't. Danzo was the one. We'll give you one chance to surrender to us or be destroyed." And suddenly, the village would essentially look towards the direction of them, and they would pretty much end up like all agreeing to essentially surrender, with people hearing out the story of everything, literally everything, with physical proof of Danzo being a traitor, how he had Sharingan implanted from the night of the Uchiha massacre, with Jiraiya body flickering in just in time to show these documents and everything. And people would finally begin to see Danzo for the snake that he truly is, as Team 7 would usher a new era into the Hidden Leaf Village, and they would save the land that they were born in, and they would change it, starting a new beginning, with Itachi being named the next Hokage. Why? Because Itachi deserves it. I mean, think about it. Everything that he did for this village, he's the one who most needs to save it, most wants to. So he's the one who pretty much ends up remaining in the village, and they would begin to essentially start fixing it up a bit more and more. And eventually the pain attack would come, but with all of these incredible ninjas actually being there, and it not being around the same time frame that even Guy wasn't there, we have so many powerful shinobi that they are simply unable to capture Naruto, and the plan to revive Madara and the Ten Tails just doesn't happen. Obviously, Deidara, Sasori, and all of them would come and try to ambush and try to kidnap Naruto after having trying to take in Killer B, but it just wouldn't work. The Akatsuki would essentially be overrun with all of these ninjas, and Itachi's first task would definitely have been to take Obito out, because he is a large threat. Orochimaru and stuff like that could be handled later, and they would do so, ushering a new era for the Hidden Leaf Village. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the story of what if Team 7 was betrayed by Konohah. I hope you guys enjoyed this story as much as I did. I love this thing. It actually brought back a bit of excitement to actually record for once, and I was helped a gargantuan amount, seriously, by my co-writer Adrian. He's a subscriber, one of you guys who me and him ended up pitching up ideas back and forth, and he actually ended up pretty much mostly writing the ending to this. I thought it was incredible, and I need to give this man his props. Would you guys like him being a What If YouTuber someday? He could bring you guys bangers like this. I'm trying to tell this man. So if you guys want that, definitely comment down some encouraging words for him. The dude's a legend. And with all that out of the way, I love each and every single one of you guys. It has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.